What's up, YouTube? This is Russ with Wrenching with Russ. Today we're going to show you how to change the struts on a 2012 Dodge Grand Caravan and sway bar link. First thing you want to do is we're going to loosen up the bolts. We're going to take the bolts off, bottom of the strut. You're going to leave your bolt on there. We just take the nuts off. And then once you get the nuts off your bolts, the next thing you're going to want to do is you want to take your ABS wire. You want to take the mounting bracket off. And all this is all mounted on this strut. And your new one's going to have all these same placements. So just take the bolt out. And then this is for your ABS wire. And then the little mount just pulls off. And just kind of move it to the side. And then the next thing you want to do is your sway bar link. And this one has a T40 star bit driver and an 18mm nut on it. And you just want to use the T40 star bit driver to hold it, to keep it from spinning, and then your 18mm to take the nut off. Alright, after you get the nut off that sway bar link, you just pull it out and set it aside. If you're going to reuse it, if not, then obviously you're going to have to take the bottom nut off also. But if you're going to reuse your sway bar link, just take your top nut off, set it aside. Now the bolts in the strut are ready to be removed. And these are hardened, and I'm sure they're past grade 8 bolts. So take your little Thor hammer like I got, or a little small sledgehammer, and you want to smack these on the end really solid and quick, and they come shooting out. So that's how you want to drop this bottom off. So just give them a good hit and they'll come shooting out. And now you want to brace this, because once you take these bolts out, your rotor and your brake assembly is going to drop with your lower control arm, so you're going to want to brace this. So once you get your last bolt out, and then we use a post stand or a jack stand to put up underneath it. And then that takes the weight off of it and that holds it. And then the strut itself will stay in place with the 3 bolts in top. And it comes out fairly easy. So now that you got that loose, again you want to brace this up to take the weight off of it. And here's how you brace it. And at the top, there's just 3 nuts and this post that come on the strut itself. All you do is raise up each corner. We didn't take the whole cowl off and the wiper blades, because this one here you can just unbolt each corner and just lift it up. And I'm sure the majority of them are like that. The ones that we have done are. So we just lift the corners up. And then you can reach your hand right back in there and get to the 3 nuts. All right, here's where you take your 3 nuts loose. And I think this is a 14 millimeter. So you just loosen them up and take the nuts off of it. And then what we do, I got somebody below there holding on to it. So once we drop this top, take these 3 nuts off, then this strut will come right out. And then once the strut drops out, you're just going to repeat the process and reverse it. Put your new strut up in there and just bolt it back up. I recommend using all the new hardware that comes with them, the new bolts and the new nuts. Try not to use anything old. Bolt it down. And then once you get the top tight, and what we do is we drop it down on the rack, and I'll put a floor jack up underneath it. And again, that's to support the weight of that rotor and that caliper. And then you just line this up with your new strut. And then once you get it lined up, reinsert your bolts. Now you can reuse these bolts. So once we get it lined up, you just put your new bolts back in. Make sure you hammer them back in there. And then with this particular strut, the ones we took off had solid holes. This one has an adjustment hole at the bottom of the strut, as you can see. So we took a tape measure and measured off the inside fender well to line this back up as closely as we could. And once you get that, and you can take your floor jack out. So now the strut will help support the weight. Always just double check myself, make sure I got everything bolted up like it's supposed to be at that point. Next thing you want to do is you want to put your nuts back on, tighten everything back down. Now that you checked your distance for your strut alignment, make sure you just go back and tighten everything down tight. And the next thing you want to do is we're going to put this ABS mount back on the new strut. This holds your wire for your ABS. Make sure you don't have it twisted like we did. Yeah, make sure it goes the right direction. Some of these new mounts are a little different. So once you get that, put your bolt back in. And And once you put your bolt back in, make sure you got your wiring correct for your ABS. Make sure you got enough slack in it. We had to relocate this one, change it around. And then you just slip right in the slot, just like you took them loose. And now that's back together. The next thing you want to do is you want to put your sway bar link back on. So it's just a matter of lining it up. And we reused the old one on this particular strut because it was in good shape. It had just been replaced. And then once you get your nut on here, all you got to do is put your wheel back on, and that's how you do it. And don't forget, why pay someone else thousands of dollars to do it when you can do it yourself? And if you like this video and it helped you, do us a favor and subscribe and share this video and like, and we'll produce more videos and save you a bunch of money.